For my next episode, we're going to talk about touch-up paint on an old Schwinn, vintage Schwinn Super Sport from 1973. So this was a dumpster find. This was literally in the dump at a shore community. It was missing a derailleur, a chain. It was in bad shape, and I'll flash some pictures up to show you what the paint looked like. The paint is actually pretty good, except it had a ton of chips, a lot of them through to bare metal. So the internet wisdom is don't touch up your bike. Don't touch up this, it's only original once. But I kind of had to do something. There was too much bare metal here to just cover it up. So you can see where I'm at now. I've got primer and a coat of silver. This is how they did these colors. They put silver underneath of an opaque color. And we're ready to start putting on the final Kool lemon yellow color. Before I do that, I'm giving a final very careful sand. This is 1,200 grit paper, and I'm just going along and I'm really trying to make sure that I'm putting paint onto a smooth surface. This is kind of delicate because if you go too far, you just kind of undo the base coat. But it's slightly softer than the original paint. So I find that if I actually get a finger onto the paper, I know that there's sanding blocks out there, but the finger kind of gives me the feel for what's going on underneath there. And I can get into that and just really make sure. I've gone over this bike already before I switched the camera on, but I'm giving it a final. You know, just depending on the angle of the light, you can kind of see some of the imperfections. This will not be perfect. This will not be invisible. The idea is to get this looking good 5 feet away, 10 feet away. There are some areas of the bike that I have already worked on that have a first coat. You can see down here, that's a first coat of yellow. Typically, I'm finding down in here, this actually came out pretty good. This was a spot where there's a really big nasty gouge down there from maybe a chain lock. So I have been on to some bits of the bike, and you're kind of catching me as I work my way through the process. It is not easy. It is frustrating. It may not come out great, but I thought to myself, if it's really, really bad, I can always go have the frame sandblasted. The frame had no rust. The components that did come with the bike were in really good shape. So I'm doing this to kind of keep the frame protected while I ride it for a year. Next summer, this is a rider. This is going to get ridden. I'm going to see what I want to do with the bike then. So if this comes out aesthetically bad, it's certainly not going to harm the frame in the long term. The frame can be stripped. It's not the end of the world, it's just paint. This in here is a particularly challenging area because the decal has a stripe right through, and it's reddish. That's not rust. It is the primer coat underneath, so the frame did not rust, but in there I've really had to be kind of careful. So here, and I'm more or less think we're ready to give this a shot of paint. I'm going to turn off the camera, do a final touch up, and then I'm going to bring you guys in for that first hit of the yellow. Just sight lining, and I'm using my fingers. I'm trying not to take too much of the good original paint, because we're going to try to blend that in as best as possible. Here on the head tube, very unfortunate scratch, very common on these bikes, caused by the brake and reflector kind of raking across there. This side of the bike, this side is better. It is in pretty good shape here. So you can see here, only got a few little areas like this to deal. There you can kind of see the primer is starting to come back through, so I have to be very careful with where I sand this to smooth. it's like, sort of like double primer. Here, this was all bare metal. This you can kind of see nearly done. It's not perfect down here, but this from here to here, I'll put the original picture up, was really in bad shape. So it's coming along. It's coming along, and we'll get you more into the action in a moment. All right, greetings YouTube. It's a few days later. We are ready to deal with the consequences of this first coat. We're going to start by giving it a sand with the 1200 grit. Get everything back to smooth. So this is going to take some time. I'm going to do a bit of it off camera, but each coat you kind of put a little on, sand a little off, and gets better with each coat. So does not look great right now. Hopefully the next coat kind of brings it up to something that we won't mind polishing. We'll see. Still a precarious thing. This is, in my opinion, the most difficult aspect of restoring old steel bikes is the decisions that you take around paint and how to deal with this stuff. This is not easy. It's pure art. And I've got a long learning journey to get better at this. Yeah, see, some of that is coming off. Just trying to use a very light touch, using kind of haptic feedback. Like as I rub this sandpaper under my fingers, I can feel if there's issues there. More than anything, because every little angle, every sight angle is different. So, okay, I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, and we're going to put a second coat on and see what we get.